Hey everybody, it's Mickey Tofexis with the Y Project 911 presented by the Four Paw Foundation. The Four Paw Foundation's mission is to honor, support, and educate first responders. We give away scholarships to future first responders annually at their Heroes Dinner and support line of duty death families nationwide. This podcast is meant to support the Four Paw Foundation's mission. Episode number 2, guys. I'm super pumped for this. I have Huan DeRiggs here, otherwise known as HD the Voice. He's a voiceover artist and a public speaker. He currently is the announcer and commentator for the ServPro Firefighter Challenge League. He's an avid supporter of first responders, as he likes to say, last to first. And he's known as the Voice. Welcome, Huan. Go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, Mickey, thank you for having me, first of all, on the project. It's really an honor. And it's my name is Huan DeRiggs, and like you said, I'm the announcer for the Firefighter Challenge League right now, and been in professional public speaking and voiceovers since many moons ago, 2008. So it's been quite some time in the business, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I learned my lesson last time. A lot of people said they didn't understand what a Mayday was, that we're not firefighters and a RIT team. So before we even get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the ServPro Firefighter Challenge League is? What does it entail?
Well, the ServPro Firefighter Challenge League is just a league right now. It's actually a competition that started way back in 1991, 1990 with Dr. Paul Davis, and it was formerly known as the Firefighter Combat Challenge. And it's changed hands. Gone into a nonprofit, and now it is the ServPro Firefighter Challenge League, and it's just a great sport. It's a sport where firefighters are tested in 5 movements, 5 functions or 5 essential functions, and that stack ranks them throughout that competition, and it leaves the cream of the crop right at the very top, at the very end of the competition. So it's an exciting competition, and it's a competition that not only tests firefighters in their physical fitness, but brings them together, and just the camaraderie of it is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So let's talk about the disciplines, right? We get in our gear on air, put on our
Yep.
mask, go on air, and we go up 6 flights of stairs
Hmm.
with a 45-pound hose pack on our shoulder. We dump it in a bucket, and then we pull a 45-pound hose up to the top, put that in the bucket, come back down. We hit that Kaiser, which everybody loves, depending on who oils it.
That Kaiser is the great equalizer. So it starts with your gear. Obviously, you're in that full bunker gear that everybody sees you wear, and it's the same gear that you're going to be wearing in the event of a structure fire. It starts right at the base of that tower with that. It's a 42 pound high rise pack, or a hotel high rise pack, and you go up those 5 flights of stairs. Once you get to the top, it's another almost 50 pounds that you're hoisting up with the rope and the pack. So it's just about 49 pounds that you'll hoist up those 5 flights of stairs, and you got to run your way down. And I don't know if you saw me do it last year. It was probably one of the most intense moments I've ever had physically in my life, and I played football all my life. So, but once you get onto that Kaiser Force machine, that's a 160-pound steel I-beam that you have to drive the full length of that tray. Then once you get off of that, you got to go through that slalom course, that delineator course, uh, do the hose drag, that fully charged hose drag. So that's about, you know it better than me, 240 pounds, and how that feels, on your shoulders. It's a tough drag, but a lot of you'll see firefighters do it walking. You'll see them do it sprinting. They get through those saloon doors, they hit that Serve Pro target, and then they make their way to that final portion, which is that rescue Randy. So 6 foot, 175-pound mannequin, and you have to drag it a full 106 feet, and it is intense. It is intense, and my hat goes off to every firefighter that's ever done it. It is taxing, but I can tell you, just from the announcer standpoint, it was level of elation that I had, not just because I was able to finish, but it was almost like a rite of passage of being there with you guys doing it. And it was a lot of fun. And I don't want to say I challenge all firefighters, but I suggest, that as many firefighters as they can uh, will come to your local event and try it out. You do the job every day, so why not do it and have some fun at it?
Yeah, you bring up some good points here that I'm glad you brought up, like the why of things, right? So the
Yeah.
why of that Kaiser is to simulate forcible entry. A lot of people think that we take the liners out of our gears, and we don't. You know, it's full structural gear. The only thing that's not 19, well, it was 1971, now it's 1970, but the only thing that's not structural related is the boots. They let us now wear the 77 boots so we can lace them up a little better and not hurt our ankles. But everything is meant to simulate what you actually do on a fire ground, and it's that's a why that people need to understand. You know, you see people get on the job and they're on the job for a long time. You know, can they still do the job? You know, they're afraid to go do their once annual fitness because they don't want to get hurt. Well, if you're going to get hurt doing this, you're going to get hurt doing the job. That's part of the why. You know.
And I think that's what really, brings the firefighters together because I can't tell you how many times people or firefighters have come to the competition as their first time. And it just, they say, "Man, I love this. Well, why haven't I been doing this before?" And it's city after city, you experience that same thing. So, it's that fear has to go away. That fear has to go away. If you can do the job and have no fear doing the job or have a little bit of fear doing the job, then that same thing transfers over to the competition, and you will thank yourself for it. You will thank yourself for it.
Yeah, I think. Well, two things. One, it's not only firefighters that do it, right? You let medics do it, and cadets, retirees, everybody, right? So I'm
Yep.
retiring in a couple in a little bit here, a couple weeks, and I could.
Paramedics do it. We've had some firefighters do it. I mean, excuse me, we've had some SWAT teams do it. We've had some police do it. If you and that's why I say, first responders, first to last. If you are responding to a victim in an accident or whatever situation, at whatever step you are, you're obviously the first responder, being a firefighter, being a paramedic, being a dispatcher. But what about the rest of them? What about the second responders? What about the nurses? What about the last responders, the people who have to, deliver a message to a family, or the people who have to, take that person to, to be, taken care of for the afterlife, so to speak. So there's a lot of trauma that goes along when I say, those first to last responders. So we open the door to all of them to give it a try. Obviously, the firefighters are the only ones that can compete and build their rank and their status and their position in the competition, but, the door is open for people to try it.
I went on another podcast the other day, and they asked me who's the oldest person to do it, and I remember in St. Lucie there was a guy who was like 76 or 78.
Yeah, yeah, he was, and I can't remember his name. I can see his face right now. He was tall, and he had glasses, but yeah, he was in his 70s, and he was quite the athlete. He was quite the athlete, even pushing himself to the point where he got a little upset at his performance because he was like, "Man, I can do better." I'm like, but that's the level of love that's out there. That's the why.
My wife immediately looked at me and was like, "Don't even thinking about it. You're not doing it when you're 80 years old." Right. So listen, I love the name The Voice. I was so excited to get you on here. You're so motivating to us as athletes out there on the course, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I love the name The Voice because one of the things I love about being a battalion chief is when I respond to a scene, I can hear the urgency in my crew's voice. And then as soon as I get there, they hear my voice. I assume command of the situation, and everybody's breath comes down, their breathing rate comes down, their voices go normal, and everybody goes to work. That's what you do for us. And I think every first responder has that, right? Like a PD has somebody, and they're in a chase, and all of a sudden they hear their sergeant calling out a box, to secure the area. You're a nurse and you hear that doctor, hey, here's the orders. This is what we're going to. So every first responder kind of has that voice. Um, you are our voice in the Firefighter Challenge, 100%. I mean, when I made Lions Den, you were the first person I ran and hugged.
Yeah,
I mean,
remember that.
I, I think that what you do for the competitors, I don't even know how we would do it without you, to be honest with you.
Well, it's I appreciate that, Mickey. I do. It's a long time coming, this journey with the firefighter challenge. I started back at the end of 2018, well, beginning of 2019 was my first season. And funny story, Dr. Paul Davis, the late Dr. Paul Davis, he was old school, man, and he had put out an ad on Craigslist looking for an announcer, and that's how I stumbled across the Firefighter Challenge, and that's how I got here. And you know, he and I sat down, had a 3-hour interview. The man was dressed to the nines, full three-piece suit, and I started talking about athleticism and announcing, and the rest is history. But it's the one thing that I learned about being there at the Firefighter Challenge and talking to you guys and actually talking to you through the course was it reminded me of football. It reminded me of my own teammates. I played college football, like I said before, and not to toot my own horn, but I was a team captain, and it brought me back to those moments. It brought me back to those team captain moments where when somebody needs to push to that end zone, when somebody needs to push across that goal line, you can't talk to them sweet. You can't say, "You go, you can do it." You have to get with them a little bit, and but you do it with love, and you do it with the respect of that athlete, and that's how I do it every time. And somebody said to me, "How do you talk this long?" And you never say the same thing twice. And you know what, Meg? I don't know. I don't know, but I know that it it's what I would wanna hear if I were in that position. So, I love you guys, and you guys have grown a lot close to me throughout these years. It's gonna be, 8 seasons that I'll be announcing for you guys, so it's been quite the time, and I enjoy every minute.
How do you think the new format is like compared to the old format? You were there with Paul Davis and the white tent that we ran through, and we ran 15 or 16 different competitions, and then there was more in each state. Like now there's only the regionals, right? So it was easier for like us to go to like two or three of them in Florida because there was two or three of them in Florida. And I get the business model, and there was only 50 people there. It's hard to run a business with only 50 competitors. How do you think that it's better now than it was before? It's a little harder for us as athletes sometimes because a lot of us pay for it and we're looking for sponsors and stuff like that. And some of the sponsors, they give you gear bags or a helmet, but they don't want to come out of the pocket to help you travel, which is what we really need. What do you think?
I think, it's gonna get better through time. I think the model right now is built for an actual, just a professional sports league. And ultimately that's what the firefighters want. I think that's what, we all want as crew, as competitors. They want that level of professionalism. And I think those things are coming where, you'll be able to have that sponsorship. You'll be able to have that assistance because, this is growing into something that's that people can see and acknowledge worldwide. And, you've seen, a lot of the other competitions, worldwide, the ones that are in Europe, the ones that are in, Saudi Arabia has one, Canada, has their competition. So it's becoming much more highly accepted. And I think in the future, those things are going to come to fruition where, you will be able to have that. And I think it's a great business model. I think that, the firefighter challenge itself is their premiere. And I think that's why everybody loves it. Everybody loves it because this is the granddaddy competition, so to speak, because this is where everybody comes in to cut their teeth. So I think it's a great business model, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I like the special events in Florida, by the way. Keep those coming.
Yeah, yeah, and we got that one coming up. It's going to be in Seminole County, Seminole County College. At the end of the month, actually, April, the first week of April, April 1st to the 4th. So that's going to be awesome. Going to be down there and get to see a lot of those firefighters. We've got some firefighters coming down from Canada, some world champions, and some great athletes that are going to be able to train and coach these athletes to really know how to get involved. It's just so even if you don't get a chance to come, you can watch. We'll be covered on social media, and you can see exactly what these firefighters are doing. See exactly how to get involved, and you know how to strap up your gear, how to strap up your helmet and your face mask. How to wet up your gloves. How to choke up on the hammer. There's many different techniques that are involved with performing and performing well because we all want to do well. And I think that's the biggest. I think that can be the biggest thing that's going to hold somebody back is what, I don't want to look silly. I want to look stupid. I want to do well. So something like this will help.
Yeah, we talk about the why project, right? And why do we do things and why don't we do things? A
Yeah.
lot of times firefighters do not come and try something like this because they don't want to look stupid in front of their friends. They don't want to fail in front of their department on TV, on YouTube or whatever we're watching it on. So a lot of people don't do that, but two things. One is we have to get out there and do more stuff and be better in general classes, better fitness, better nutrition, better anything. And the fire service is a lot better than when I started, man. When I started, you ate till you were sleepy and you slept till you were hungry.
Yep,
So
yep. That sounds
people are a lot more in tune with their fitness now. So that's a really good thing. We you talk about camaraderie and teaching stuff. Firefighting is really a brotherhood, right? And you always hear that the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the red line, the blue line. It's for being a first responder is a brotherhood. And I had to tell you for a sport, and my buddy came up and saw me the first time, Chuck Bender. We played football together. Right? We met in freshman football in 1984. He was there cheering me on. This is a big guy, 6'7", 350. Couldn't miss him, right? Um, he's out there cheering me on. And at the end, he said, "Nick, I've never seen a sport where people are competing against each other and helping each other and the camaraderie that you guys have." And, all these people like, Roy Dalton and, Dr. David Bowman and Chris Duncan and these amazing athletes, they're showing me how to beat them. They're like, you still got to put in the work and they can go faster than me. I'll show
yeah.
you. I'll teach you everything I know.
And I think that's the most important thing, and that's why it's hard to leave. It's hard to, there's a line out of the movie Bronx Tale. Now you can't leave. Once you're in the bar, now you can't leave. And that's really what it is. That's why you see the athletes in their 70s still competing. That's why you see people who are retired still come back and help out because it's that level of brotherhood. There is a genuine brotherhood and sisterhood in the firefighter challenge that is second to none. And it spans everywhere. It spans worldwide. It's not just the US. It's literally the entire globe. We've got countries you see it at Worlds where 20 plus countries come out here and how is it that 22 countries, 25 countries, however many countries show up and everybody's got the same attitude. Everybody's got the same love. Everybody's got the same spirit. Doesn't matter, you've got 20 different languages, but everybody speaks that one language, which is hard work, which is effort, which is care. It's awesome. There's no other way to put it. It's awesome, and you would do yourself a service here. Do yourself a service to just come to one event. Just come to one event, hang out. You don't even have to compete. Just hang out in the stands. Hang out, walking around some of these firefighters, go to competitors village. Just sit in one of the chairs and hear people talk. Share some stories. Do what would be healthy for you, not
Yeah.
just physically.
I got a first timer coming with me April 3rd. He's
Oh,
one of my guys that I work with here at Fire Tech is his son Colton. He's a Orange County firefighter, so he's going to run a tandem with me for the first time. And that brings up a good thing. You don't want to fail and do everything in front of your peers. Do a tandem, do a relay.
mhm.
Get your feet wet, cut your teeth on that stuff, and then try an individual if you don't feel like you can do the whole thing or you don't want to let take 6 minutes, which I talked about in the last podcast I did. Know, yeah, you have your world champion athletes that are doing this in a minute and 15, a minute and 16 seconds, which is, I mean, I don't even think I'm off the tower yet, you know? Um, it's crazy. These guys are doing it, in the time it takes me to get to the Kaiser or off the Kaiser, which is insane. But you also have the first timer that's, from some small department, probably still has, structural boots on, his tools. He still got his tools and his webbing in his pocket, right? Because nobody told him any different. And those are the best 6 or 7 minutes of his life, and he
Right.
gets on the sense of accomplishment when you put that medal around his, neck and he gets that firefighter challenge t-shirt that he gets to go wear back home. I mean, that's the why for me. That I didn't start till I was 52, and I honestly I wish I would have done it my whole career. I wish I would have been a firefighter challenge athlete my whole career. I would have definitely been a better fireman.
Well, and that right there is that's the sound bite right there. It would have made you. made you a better firefighter because of the experience, of the experience of the competition, as well as I do. How do you feel when you come home from one of these competitions? You're jacked up. You're jacked up on motivation. And sometimes I say, even when motivation wanes, it's that determination because it's not about motivation, it's about determination. And how determined are you to be able to get yourself back in shape? I mean, just a couple of years ago, you went through that physical change where you pushed yourself and you got in some sick shape, and you continue to get to be in that good shape, and that motivates others. Just when we live strong and do those things and share that with the people in the firefighter challenge, it goes worldwide. It goes worldwide, so people see it.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, you said, like, I got in shape, right? So, I went from being a captain on Engine 19, busiest engine in our city. I got made battalion chief, and I blinked my eyes, and I was 290 something, almost 300 pounds. I'm a big guy anyway, but I was 290, almost 300 pounds, and I was like, "Holy cow." I went to a training in Orlando Fire Conference, and I was out of breath. I used to be able to be in my gear for 6, 7, 8 hours and not even blink an eye, and I was done after an hour. I was like, "Get me out of this gear." So, I came back, my firefighters wanted to start a team, they weren't getting much support, so I kinda liaison for them, got them some support, and then, of course, "Hey, chief, there's an over 50 division," and I'm the only idiot still running around the country, but I got in shape, and then I wanna talk a little bit about some of the coaching and stuff that goes on. I got with Jared and the Fire Elite program, right? And that changed my life. Yes, I got in shape, but I got in shape spiritually, physically, mentally, all over the whole gamut of everything because his thing was, read something in the morning, journal, be positive. From that, yeah, eating and working outs were phenomenal. That changed my life. I have 3 or 4 or 5 men's text groups now that I do every day, and I send a positive message out to everybody to pass that on what Jared did for us as competitors, which, I thought I never in a million years expected to go in and change my outlook and journal and read and do these things that I do now every day. I never thought that was gonna happen. I was just looking for diets and workouts and how to get better and faster.
I think that's so important, and we need to see more of that. There are so many player coaches that are out there that are just never mind being great people, but also great coaches. You've got Jared Johnson, you've got Brad Dix who's out there in Canada, you've got Larry Potvin also in Texas, you've got Jackie Belwame. I mean, wells of information. You've got even new firefighters out there. You got in Minnesota, you've got guys like Blake Christensen, doing a great job and showing that love. And I think that's so important that these firefighters are out there sharing that information. I would love to see more of the ladies come out there. If you saw Belinda Dotson, she was just out there at the strongest firefighter, the Arnold Classic in Ohio, representing her brand and the ladies in the and strong woman out there. So it's impressive to see. It's impressive to see everyone just do their thing. And I think we need to see a lot more of that. You guys got like Louis Disney and his Mrs. Kalen are out there in Colorado. So I mean the list goes on of who's out there, who's helping, and there's always going to be a handout. There's always going to be a handout as how can I help you? And that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up Jackie Belwami because I really wanted to talk about that. We always talk about brotherhood, brotherhood, brotherhood. The girls in the firefighter challenges are beasts, bro. They're beast mode. They impress me every single time that I go there. Like, and they're about the job. They're hey, you know, they're not sugarcoating anything. Firefighters should be in shape, and they're in better shape than I am sometimes. I think I raced a girl in FDIC and she growled at me. I don't remember who it was, but she growled at me. That girl really wanted to beat me. I was like, holy God, I better step up my game.
The ladies out here, and I mean the list just goes on and on. I mean, you got Captain Asha Wagner out in California. You've got Sarah McGill in Lexington. You've got Anna Rusvik when she Croatian sensation when she started out and everybody was seeing her. She was the face. She was the face of it. But then, you've got other ladies who are coming out, and I think that's another thing that we need to see a lot more of because, there are, a lot of female firefighters out there who can do the job and who can do the job well. And, make no mistake about it, we don't change anything on the course. If it's a 42-pound high rise pack for you, Mickey, it's a 42-pound high rise pack for the ladies. The Kaiser's the same, the Randy's the same, the hose drag is the same. So, they're actually, to me, they're pushing harder. They've got to be stronger. They've got to push harder because, I don't want to say it's not geared towards men. Let me not say that. It's not geared towards men. Obviously, men just, physically are bigger and stronger. But just imagine uh if it were changed to where it was based on your weight. If it was based on your weight, if you had to pick up a Randy that was 250 pounds, if you had to drive a Kaiser that was only 30 to 40 pounds heavier than you, and so on. If you had to do these essential functions based on your weight, not based on a set weight, so these ladies do a great job and I'm very impressed with them. And they are no nonsense. I mean, I can talk all day about them. Melissa Riley out of Florida and all the St. Lucie girls, all the Martin County girls,
And girls, you got
so
Taylor Ward and Chantel Lund.
come
I
on
mean,
now.
just, you
I
know,
mean, on and on and on. These ladies they're serious about it. Katie Ross, I mean, the world champion, Katie Ross. What about internationally? How about May Tommervold out in Norway? The one of the most decorated female athletes in the world. Forget just in the firefighter challenge, but highly decorated. So the ladies, they deserve as many kudos as the men, and sometimes maybe a little bit more for the work that they have to put in.
yeah, but you see, you bring up a good point. Like, the stuff is the same, right? And there's different challenges for everybody. So, like, for me, obviously, you get to the hose and the dummy, I'm okay, right? You always make fun of me when I lift your dummy up. Don't do that to my dummy,
Thanks.
to my
First of all,
Randy.
anybody really knows if anybody's seen you pick up a Randy, but because you're so big and strong, Randy comes off the ground every single time, and he's just like little tiptoeing, down the track. So no, yeah, you got Randy taken care of.
I'm trying to get Randy to moonwalk. That's what I'm trying to do.
Exactly.
For me, getting up those stairs is, it's
Mhm.
difficult. For some people, getting up those stairs is great, and then they die at the hose.
Yeah,
So everybody has their challenges in these 5 events, and that's what makes this sport so challenging and so legitimate to what we do. Because listen, I get on the fire ground and I have somebody I know maybe is not as strong. I'm not gonna put them in forcible entry. I'm gonna let them search because 'cause they're smaller, they can get in tight spaces. So, those are things that's real life things. That's the why, nutrition wise, why, physical fitness wise, and also mentality of being a better firefighter. Like we talked about before, doing the combat challenge makes you more in shape and ready to stay on air for longer, right? I did a ALS competitions. That made me a better medic because everything slowed down when I got on real scenes. I did RIT team with almost the same guys that started the combat challenge team, a lot of the same guys, and those guys we learned together. We didn't know anything about a rapid intervention team competition. We learned together and we came in 6 out of like 30 something teams. We did phenomenal, and we all grew and they're all leaders in the fire department now. So, um, these competitions, that's the why. These competitions help make us all better firefighters, girls, guys, everybody better first responders, better people, really,
yeah,
So the voice, let's get back
yeah,
to the voice and the why of the voice.
yes.
When we were in Alabama, you also did boxing announcing, right?
I did. I did some announcing for the World Policing Fire Games, and I tried my hand at a couple of different sports, and yep, I did some ring announcing for boxing, which was great. You know, Jesse and the crew, Jesse Gomez and the crew actually were in. So Jesse and Tommy were in the crowd, and they didn't know it was me. They didn't know it was me on stage because I was behind. I was, obviously doing the ring announcing, but sometimes you got to change your voice up because for whatever event that you're doing. So, you got for boxing, you definitely have to change your voice up. So I had run into them during one of the intermissions where they were, up at the front just grabbing a beverage. And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm the ring announcer." They're like, "You're the ring announcer?" Like, "Yeah." So, we took a picture and they were it was a great time and, just it was fun having them support me. But yeah, I've done a lot. I've done voiceovers, I've done commercials, television and radio, and now with the sports announcing. So yeah, HD the voice has definitely been all over.
That's awesome. I see the thing behind you. Is it Care Driven
Yeah,
Network? You're
the
getting ready to start your own podcast. Is that correct? So let's talk about a little bit of that. What are you going to talk about?
the Care Driven Network is going to be primarily focused on first responder mental health. And we were talking about earlier. You know, I've made a lot of friends with in the fire service through the Firefighter Challenge. Made a lot of friends, and one of the things that I wanted to do was, how can I help with my voice? How can I help? What can I do to give back to that service? And one of the things that I found out that is a really that doesn't get talked about a lot is the unfortunate level of suicide that's in among first responders, and it's not really talked about a lot. And there are things that need to be done. There are professionals that need to be spoken to, but professionals that also need to be vetted, professionals that that are going to care for someone and still give that person their respect. It doesn't always have to be, you know, and I think that from what I've found, it doesn't always have to be out in the open. It doesn't have to be so broadcast that these firefighters are, or whomever, any first responder, whether it be a firefighter, whether it be a paramedic, whether it be a soldier, whether it be a police officer, still giving them that level of anonymity and giving them that level of respect. So, we've got some things working with the Care Driven Network where, these firefighters will be able to have that anonymity and still be able to get some help if they need it, if they so need it. So yeah, the Care Driven Network is going to be launching in just a couple of weeks. So, I will definitely be sharing that with you and it's important that we have strong people around. So it's important that we have strong people around because for as many firefighters that are in the Firefighter Challenge League worldwide, how many are not? How many are not? How many are just on the sideline? And how many are on the sideline not doing things that are productive for themselves, for their health, for their family, for themselves mentally. So it's going to come full circle to where projects like yours, like the Y Project, the Care Driven Network, and other podcasts are going to be able to have that sort of community where people can get that assistance, where they can get things off their chest, and they can become better firefighters. They can become better people, better wives, better husbands.
I love it. That's the why right there. That's the why right there. At the end of the day, we talked about with Joe Minahan, everybody goes home. Everybody goes home is not just from the scene or from your firehouse.
Right.
You go home, how are you? How are you mentally? How are you treating your family? How are you treating your friends? Are you withdrawing? You have things that are going on that you're not letting other people know about. And I'm not bashing anybody, but a lot of times, my guys and girls, they don't want to talk to anybody from the department. They need an outside source. And
Yep.
thank God I was a Fools president down here. You know what the Fools is? Fraternal Order of Leatherheads.
Yes,
I
sir.
was a Fools president, and I have a pretty good network of people that I can let people's numbers out and be like, listen, I don't want to know anymore, but here's a spider web of numbers. These are some people you can call and get help. You know, if you
Oh,
need me, my phone's always on. But I'm not a mental health counselor. But here I have this spider web of numbers for you. So that's the why. And your network. I look forward to coming and helping you getting started, man. I'll be a guest anytime you need me.
we be talking very, very shortly offline about just, the getting started process and, just even the title, being care driven, you are all so care driven. Always, how can I help? It's always, what can I do? Your jobs, especially firefighters and paramedics, first responders, nurses, dispatchers, your job is the preservation of life. So with that comes the care. It comes the what can I do to keep you going? What can I do to keep you alive? So, that is not my question.
They
Uh,
I think that's awesome. I was gonna ask you like a why. Like, what do you think is a why you could take away nationwide? But I think you just nailed it, man. That's a why you could take away nationwide from
that's
all
it.
of it. Like I told you, I never would have dreamed that. Not that I was depressed or anything, but I was going through some stuff at work. I really was, and I was having a hard time. And then I got with Jared and Fire Elite, and then next thing I know, I'm journaling and I'm being positive and I'm reading and I'm doing all these things that kind of got me out of that funk. And I've
Yeah.
done that now for several people, got them out of that funk by being positive and stacking your wins and things like that. You know what I mean? So that's a why. That's a huge why for all first responders. You brought up dispatchers, and I said it last week. Dispatchers don't get a lot of love. They're first responders. They need to be thought of as first responders.
On the phone, guiding someone through, you know, one of the worst moments of their lives. It could be just someone going through it, and that's why I created that term. First to last. First responders to last, because there's a second, third, fourth, fifth responder, and all the way up to the last responder. So, I definitely think dispatchers are part of that. Part of that first responder community where they need help. Oh, they need someone to talk to as well.
Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on, brother. I really appreciate it. I love the conversation. You have any final words for everybody? Anything you'd like to say?
You know, honor your talent, man. That's one of the things. Honor your talent. Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged about anything. Don't let fear stop you. You know, uh, a quick thing about fear. I almost let the opportunity of the firefighter challenge pass me by because I almost did not respond to that Craigslist ad. What if I didn't respond to that Craigslist ad? How my life would have changed. And now that since I did, look how it has changed, and what would I have given up? So, there's a lot of things that you'll give up. There's happiness that you'll give up. There's there's pride. There's good times that you give up because of fear. Don't let fear stop you from anything. Just go out there and do it scared. I know you hear that a lot, but it's the truth. Get out there, do it scared, and your life will be better for.
I love it. I love it a lot. So what's a link or website or social media or something where we can find this care driven on?
Caregiver, we're gonna get that going in just a little bit. You can reach out to me at hdthevoice at gmail.com. Reach out to me at HD. We'll get the socials up for that in just a little bit as far as the caregiver network at Gmail, and then we'll have the socials for all the pictures and everything. Caregiver network will be up before or up by the beginning of the month. So get it started and get our list of guests going, and it'll be
Awesome. Go ahead and text me or email me the link and I'll put it in the comments because you're breaking up a little bit. Hopefully everybody heard that, but I'll attach it to my comments so that we can give you a follow and a like and all that stuff. And guys, if you like the Y Project 911, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a like. We're on Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. I put it on everything, trying to get the word out there. So if you liked it, you enjoyed it, please give us a link. And I can't thank you enough again, brother. I can't wait to see you in a few weeks. And
Yep.
the why, we went all over the place, but the why of that first to last responder and your voice being that voice of reason, like a voice like an incident commander on scene, is those are great messages, man. That first to last, you honestly just, it doesn't matter if you were the world champion or that you're a first timer, man. Your voice is always there helping us. So we can't thank you enough as competitors, bro. Thank you very much for being on.
And Mickey, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Everybody have a good day. Thank you, bro.